Hi everyone, Amy here. I just wanted to check in and wrap some things up from our surprising reversal discussion last week. This was actually our final just general discussion for the semester, so way to go. All we have left now is the peer review workshop that we'll do this week with your rough draft arguments, or your rough drafts of the argument assignment. So great job. This is our last kind of homework writing a prompt, and you guys did a really good job with it, so you should be proud of yourselves for this and all the hard work that you've done all semester long. So I do want to jump in here and just pull out some of the comments and suggestions that I think you guys can learn from the most, as I always do. In your comments, I saw, as I mentioned in my midweek, really good feedback that you were providing to each other in terms of ways that you could improve your thesis statements, ways you could better execute the surprising reversal specifically, and even suggesting different reasons and counterarguments to further develop one another's claims. So I really appreciate your willingness to be constructive in your feedback to each other this week. This first comment I pulled out is responding to what this person had said in their thesis statement about the positives of social media use. And if I remember correctly, this is meant to be the focus of that person's argument, but it was really just mentioned kind of as an afterthought at the end of their claim. And so the response that this person provided said, "You also mentioned that you have looked deeper into this subject and indicated that there are some positive points for teens to use in social media. What are they?" I believe in this day and age it is imperative that teens are familiar with social media. They can get together with their friends and classmates to ask questions about school and family and plan their weekends to have some fun. So this was really good because it's a very tactful and supportive way to maybe suggest something that was probably lacking in that person's original post. It's not critical, it's not overly harsh, it's not rude. It's very polite and nice, just kind of opening it up to a question. I know you mentioned that there are some positives to social media use. It sounds like this is where you want the focus of your argument to be. And so what are they? I really liked this question here. And then the person goes on to suggest a couple of positive benefits to using social media that could serve as reasons in this person's overall argument. So because they can get in contact with their friends and classmates to ask questions about school, and also to have more of a social life and plan some fun on the weekends. So those could be two potential sporting points as to why using social media is a positive experience for teens today. And so the lesson here is don't let the counter argument overrun your thesis. I'll come back to this in a little bit, but you really do just want to set it up as a brief mention at the beginning of your thesis and then turn it around and put the bulk of emphasis within your thesis on your actual claim and reasons. And so I think that's all this person was suggesting that the writer needed to do, and I thought this was an effective way to make that suggestion. So good job. Another really in-depth and insightful comment here. This person is responding to someone's thesis and they said, "I totally agree. This is a really interesting and such an important topic to discuss. I look forward to reading your essay. For me, when I was trying to write my surprising reversal, I found something in our textbook that really helped me break down my topic into my core thesis. These questions helped me focus in on what I wanted to point out." And so this is from the book. "Before reading my essay, readers should think this way about my topic, blank, and after reading my essay, my readers will think this different way about my topic, blank." And then the person says, "Then I used one of the tension phrases to create a surprising reveal. Although some believe." That is one that is suggested in the book. "Just thought I would share since it helped me organize my surprising reveal." And so this for me as a teacher is like the aha moment, the moment when all the angels sing down from heaven because one of your students pointed out something in the textbook to another student and how to apply it to the writing that you're doing for your major essay for this unit. It's just so beautiful to see you guys understanding the content in such a way here that you can pick it apart, explain it to each other, and learn from each other. So I really appreciate that. You know, when I said at the beginning of the semester that my goal was to facilitate engagement and community in our course, because I think it's something that online classes do struggle with, this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm talking about. So you're not only engaging with each other here, but you're engaging with each other through the content. And so way to go for some true collaborative learning here in this comment. But I also like this because this person is right. This is what it says in the book, and hopefully this can help it make a little more sense. You are writing arguments because there is some controversy within the larger audience that you're writing for that your argument is correct. And so before reading your essay, you can assume that people might have some misconceptions or some incorrect beliefs about your topic. And hopefully then your argument will serve to kind of turn that around and give them or persuade them to come over to your side, which you believe to be more appropriate in regards to whatever issue you're exploring. And so I do think that explaining it in these kind of colloquial terms makes it very accessible. So if you didn't get a chance to take a look at what the book says about surprise and reversal, make sure you do go back and review that, because it might help clarify some of the more confusing concepts here. Okay, and again, those were just two examples, but overall the comments this week were all very, very helpful and effective, and so I could have pulled out a lot more examples, but these were just the two that I wanted to focus on. So let me jump in here and talk about a couple of your reflections, and then also I want to give you some feedback on the thesis statements themselves, because you're going to need to have those theses pretty well solidified as you use them to finalize your rough drafts for Wednesday night. So this person says, not sure if I clearly stated my claim, which is, if people as a whole community don't start treating mental illness like they do physical illness, we are going to see a skyrocket of suicide and drug abuse, which could end up costing more than billions of dollars. If the stigma isn't lifted, people who struggle with these diseases will start to believe what they hear and may never even ask for help. I truly believe that the problem can be changed dramatically for the better if people start thinking about what it really means to be mentally ill. And so embedded in this example, we see a lot of good reasons. We can infer a proposal, but I want to provide some suggestions that will maybe show here in a concrete example how you can take your rough draft and revise it to be a true proposal argument that will really be persuasive and strong. So I'm going to cut off this part because that's more just setup, and the claim starts here. So one thing I'll point out is that nowhere in this statement does the person actually say what they think should be done or come right out and say we should do this thing. They say if we don't do it, this will happen. If people really want to change this, we have to do something. But it doesn't really ever come right out and say exactly what should be done in a direct proposal. So let me show you some suggestions for how to do that. First of all, you need to rephrase this hypothetical as a direct statement of proposal. So instead of if they don't, people should. So people as a whole community must or should, depending how strongly you want to word things, start treating mental illness like they do physical illness, because otherwise, and try to avoid the first person voice. So you could even say there will be a skyrocket increase in suicide and drug and alcohol abuse, or you can just say otherwise suicide and drug alcohol abuse will skyrocket, which could end up costing more than billions of dollars. I would combine this all into one sentence. They may never even ask for help. And then once you've said those things, you really don't need this part, because you've already said what you think should be changed. And here, it doesn't add any of the potential benefits. All it says is, again, it will be changed. So if this said it will have X outcome or X, Y, and Z consequences that would be beneficial, that would be a little more specific. But all this really says is dramatically and think about what it really means, which are relatively vague. So I'll just cut that out. So then here we have a thesis that says, people as a whole community must start treating mental illness like they do physical illness, because otherwise suicide and drug/alcohol abuse will skyrocket, which could end up costing more than billions of dollars. And if the stigma isn't lifted, people who struggle with these diseases will start to believe that they are what they hear and may never even ask for help. So then you have your proposal, reason number 1, reason number 2, and reason number 3. Okay, so that would give you 4 distinct paragraphs to move through 1, 2, 3, and your proposal in the body paragraphs of your essay. And then if you were going to use surprising reversal, you would just pull out the biggest counter argument that you can think of regarding your issue and attach it to the beginning of the thesis using one of those reversal transitions that we've been talking about all week. So something like, although some people don't think mental illness should be treated the same way as physical illness, people as a whole community must start treating mental illness like they do physical illness because boom, boom, boom reasons. Okay, so you can see here the counter argument directly relates to this person's overall central claim, and as such it is a big enough counter argument to pull out and use surprising reversal and discuss at the beginning. So I think this issue of the counter argument kind of starting to take over the thesis is an important one, and one that I saw several people struggling with in this discussion overall. This person actually says, I still feel a little stuck as far as my thesis goes. I don't think I have it set up correctly yet. I didn't get much out of my past due discussions in regards to improving my thesis, and I hope that with some of the other posts it will help progress my paper. So I'm going to go directly to this person's post and show what I think maybe she could do to tweak it a little bit, since this person felt like maybe the feedback wasn't as effective this week. So this was Rebecca's post, and she says, many people might believe support for the LGBTQ community is important. However, there are those who also believe that the community chooses to become this way, that it's a problem, or believing they can change on a whim, which is why there is conversion therapy. So just from conversations with this person, I know that in fact this writer is in support of the LGBTQ community, and this person does think it's important. And so what we see here is by placing the counter argument at the end of the sentence and giving it a little more space, just physical space, more words, more sentences, it puts too much emphasis on the counter argument rather than this person's actual claim, which needs to be developed with a proposal based on direct reasons. So I would flip this around and condense the counter arguments and just say, although many people believe that the LGBTQ community can be treated with conversion therapy, in fact, and then this person would need to go into reasons to support an overall proposal. So what I see here really is that more emphasis is on the counter argument, and this person's not even making a proposal yet. So my advice would be to just sum up the counter argument very briefly in not even an independent clause, a complete sentence, just a sentence fragment. Although many people believe in conversion therapy or believe that this can work, it can't work because X, Y, and Z reasons, and then go into your proposal. And that would be my practical suggestions for how to improve this particular thesis. And then also speaking to that kind of struggle to not let the thesis become overrun by the counter arguments, this person said, I found that working on the surprising reversal proved to be a little tougher than originally thought. I do feel that I've made a few points that I'll be able to relate to both sides, but I'm not sure if I added too much information to contradict my thesis. So this was Brandon's post. I'm going to call him out too. Sorry, Brandon. Sorry, Rebecca. Because I want to show what this person's talking about when he says he's afraid it's too overrun by the counter argument. So critics have pointed out that Rajendra Pachuri is a vegetarian, thus disagreeing with his proposal that eating less meat would offset global warming. Instead of eating less meat, we should be eating more. Pasture-raised cattle benefits the environment in many ways, adds organic matter, etc., etc. So this is the proposal, and these are the reasons. So we have a pretty strong thesis here, but Brandon's concern is that this counter argument is still a little too much. So let me say directly, you do not need to include any evidence or any specific examples in your thesis anywhere. That is what you do in the later body paragraphs when you develop your points. You just briefly mention them here. So I wouldn't even mention this guy. I would just say, many people argue that eating less meat could offset global warming. However, instead of eating less meat, we should actually be eating more because boom, boom, boom reasons why it's beneficial. So hopefully that makes a little more sense in terms of how you can sum up the counter argument more briefly and then just attach it to your thesis in a dependent clause using transitions like although, however, etc., to reverse the counter argument and then give more of the weight to your actual proposal and supporting points within the claim itself. So again, great work this week, guys. I really appreciate everything you've done, and good luck